What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Magic the Gathering video. This is going to be some spoilers that we're seeing for Core Set 2021. Oh my god, I can't believe we're already having another set. And I'm just overwhelmed with joy and excitement, and I'm just so ecstatic. I can't wait. Now, honestly, it just feels like yesterday that Ikoria came out, and now it's like already at the end of this month we're going to have another set, and it's pretty wild, especially since we literally just had bannings of Fires of Invention and Agent of Treachery. Anyway, that's old news. We got some new news. So as you can see on screen, we've got some pretty interesting cards here. Now, this is just the first. Now, again, let me just take a time out. Apologize for the lack of content and the inconsistency. It's been a busy week for me. Just a lot of stuff going on, especially since the weather has been getting nicer out. Certain things are starting to be lifted around around my area, so it's like being able to do a little bit more and have a little bit more freedom, as you might say. Freedom to do things. So, but yeah, so I'm just recording this on Sunday, and probably going to put this out on Monday. But I just wanted to go over, because I have been keeping an eye on these spoilers, and a lot of them look pretty good. A lot of them look just head scratchingly awful. But that's my opinion, of course, and you can take it or leave it. So we'll start with obvious one, Massacre Wurm. Now, this is one of those, like, it looks like somebody took a picture of like what the card is going to look like from like their desktop or something like that. I don't know if this has been confirmed or not. I just hit record on the spoiler page. I didn't even bother to go and check. If this is for real, I'm totally down with this. I love cards like this. I think black, majority of the time, has the most cooler functions when it comes to cards, and Massacre Wurm is definitely one that I'm really glad is being reprinted. I believe it was printed in Mirrodin. Anyway, so yeah, 3/3 black. When it enters the battlefield, creatures your opponents control get -2/-2 until end of turn, and then whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, that player loses 2 life. So that's very powerful. The next one is Demonic Embrace. Now, this card is really cool. I really like this card. It's an It's a aura enchantment, and the enchanted creature gets +3/+1, has flying, and is a demon in addition to its other types. You may also cast it from your graveyard by paying 3 life and discarding a card, in addition to its other costs. So you pay 3 life, and discard a card. To cast it from a graveyard, I think that's very reasonable, especially it being a black card. I mean, usually you're doing self-destructive things to give yourself an advantage anyway. So then this common card here, which is actually fairly strong, Basri's Acolyte. So it's a 2/2 white for a 2/3 lifelink, and then when Basri's Acolyte enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 other target creatures you control. So that's very good, and it's going to be a strong addition to mono white. Really early looks at this, it's making me wonder, like, man, how is mono white going to fit like some of these powerful cards that into an already powerful deck? Because I mean, there's already a lot of really strong cards in mono white, and you're adding even more. So it's going to be interesting to see how the numbers of certain creatures and stuff go into decks, and it's going to be interesting. So this is a good card. I really like it, especially at common for a 4-mana 2/3 lifelink. That, especially for a mono white deck that's going to have at least 2 other creatures on the battlefield by the time you play this, it's very good. Then, of course, the new Planeswalker for white, Basri Ket. Again, another 3-mana Planeswalker. So we'll see how this rolls. So it's +1 ability. It starts with 3 loyalty, which is okay. +1. Put a it's +1 ability. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. It gains indestructible until a turn. So depending on what creature's getting a counter, that could actually be very good, because you could possibly get a free attack on that turn. It's -2. Whenever one or more non-token creatures attacks this turn, create that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. Okay, so it's kind of like Bramaz almost. How whenever Bramaz attacks, you created 2/1/1 cat tokens that are tapped and attacking. Similar to this, but it's a -2 effect, and it can happen on the turn it comes out, which is pretty powerful. Then the -6 is you get an emblem with, at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token, then put a counter on each creature you control. +1 counter. So that's pretty good. I'm not really a big fan of 3-mana planeswalkers. I think they have caused so many problems and headaches and issues, and it doesn't look like we're really getting away from them anytime soon. But I think for white, I think this one is okay. I don't think it's going to have... It could. I don't know. The +1 and the -2 ability are very powerful, no matter what stage of the game that you're in. The +1 ability can be really, really good, especially in mono white by turn 3. If you're playing things on curve, you could have like you could get a pretty good board going at that point. So the next white card is Mangara the Diplomat. So this is another character that's been reprinted from earlier sets. 4 mana, 3 and a white for a 2/4 lifelink. Now the text of this card is what is just so insane. Whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you and or a planeswalker you control, draw a card. So basically, if at least 2 creatures are attacking you or a planeswalker, you draw a card. So, and then there's also, whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, draw a card. That is also really good. And for a 2/4, that's a very strong blocker and lifelink on top of that. I mean, you're just getting so much value for 4 mana. So we'll see how this works. And I can see this being in mono white. I can see this being in control. I can see this being in a ton of... There's just so much value that this card offers that you can make a case for it in being almost any deck that's running white. So then there's Double Vision. And I've been hearing about this a lot. I've been seeing so many people talk about this card. It's 5 mana, which is, for what you're trying to do with this card, I think 5 mana is a little high, but it's an enchantment. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, copy that spell and you can choose new targets for the copy. So it's basically like a twin cast, but it's an enchantment, and it costs 5 mana or something like that. I don't know how good this card is going to be, because if you're playing things that are... If you're playing like red aggro with with some burn spells, I mean, this card can be great, but 5 mana is a lot. Like, it's a lot to ask for, because by the time you're hitting 5 mana, you're either out of the game or winning the game. Because if you're playing Double Vision, if Double Vision is the only thing that you're playing, then at 5 mana, and like you don't really have much of a board, I mean, or you don't really have anything else, it's just one of those cards where if you're playing it, there's a high chance that you're not going to be able to play anything else with it. So you're not going to be able to do anything by the time it hits the board. Now, next turn, definitely, if you draw a burn spell or something like that, that'd be great. Like getting a shock or a lightning strike or even a flame spill, being able to burn 2 creatures, for the price of 1. That's pretty good. So we'll see. 5 mana is a little steep for red, because it just depends. Again, it depends on what you're playing it with, obviously. So these are the Planeswalker decks. I'm not really going to go over these. We'll just come straight up to some of the real spicy stuff. So Vito Thorn of the Dusk Rose. I'm going to kind of cherry pick some of the things I want to talk about. So for 3 mana, you get a 1/3 Vampire Cleric. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. Now this is going to make... This kind of makes me happy, because I love cards like this where there's like a give and take relationship here. So it's like whenever you gain life, your opponent loses life, that much life. I think that's really good, and I think for black-white life gain, this is going to see some serious play. And then for 5 mana, all your creatures gain lifelink until end of turn. It's awesome. And it's a 1/3 for 3, so it's not overly powerful. It can die to a number of different pieces of removal, but it gives your opponent like something that they need to take care of immediately. And if you have a number of lifelink cards already on the board, by the time this hits the board, you're probably going to be able to take advantage of it. So, Ugin, Spirit Dragon, I mean, I am very happy that this card is being reprinted, and this was one of my favorite Planeswalkers. I mean, this was just a showstopper in Standard way back in the day. I forget what original set it came out in. Was it Dragons? I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. But yeah, 8 mana. I'm not going to go over the specs. I mean, its card's been around long enough. You know, if you've played for a while, you know what Ugin does. Grim Tutor. Again, another tutor card. 3 mana. Search your library for a card. Put that card in your hand. You know, you lose 3 life. No one's ever going to replace Demonic Tutor. So for 3 mana, I mean, I figure if you're paying 3 mana to get something and losing 3 life, I mean, it better be good. Like, it's got to be something that's going to, like, give you a considerable advantage on the game. So, and the fact that you don't have to reveal it, obviously, is very, very good. So, it is a mythic, however. I'm not sure if I agree with the mythic status on that card. I guess the only thing I could say about it being a mythic is the fact that you don't have to reveal the card that you get. So, there's that. Azusa, Lost But Seeking. You may play 2 additional lands on each of your turns. What the hell? As if ramp needed any more firepower. I mean, I've been saying this. I said this during a lot of the stuff I saw in Ikoria. I'm saying it again here. This is insane. Insane. So, that means on turn 3, you cast this, and then you can play, I think, you can play 2 other lands that you have in your hand. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. Anyway. Let's see. Fierce Empath. Yeah, that's that card that allows you to get a creature with mana cost 6 or greater into your hand. It's a 1/1 elf, so it's not terrible. Tormod's Crypt. I am so happy that they reprinted this. Yes. They've tried several different artifacts to exile graveyards. They've tried Sentinel's Totem. They tried Silent Gravestone. They've tried the Soul Guide Lantern. They've tried a bunch of different ones, and trust me, I sideboarded all of them back when they were standard legal. And now Tormod's Crypt for 0 mana, tap sack. Yes, thank you, Wizards. Thank you for bringing that back. Can't believe I actually have to go out of my way and say thank you for making Tormod's Crypt an uncommon. Ruined Halo. This is also really cool. Ruined Halo was a really cool card back in the Lorwyn set, which was, if I remember correctly, I believe it was Lorwyn. So as Ruined Halo enters the battlefield, choose a card name. You have protection from the chosen card name. I always think those are really, really neat. Kind of like Pithing Needle. Not really protection, but Pithing Needle. You know, you can pretty much neuter a card's effect. So Ruined Halo is pretty neat. I like that. The new Liliana, Waker of the Dead. So 4 mana, 4 loyalty Planeswalker. Solid so far. +1, each player discards a card. Each opponent who can't loses 3 life. I love this. This is pretty much an upgrade almost from Liliana of the Veil. Because if all of you know, Liliana of the Veil was a 3 mana Planeswalker, and a +1 was each player discards a card. Very awesome. So, -3, target creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your graveyard. Usually by 4 mana, you can have like 2 or 3. Or if you're getting it late game to try and kill something, still very good. And the fact that it's a -3 is very good. It doesn't immediately kill Liliana. So then, of course, -7, you get an emblem with, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put target creature card from a graveyard. So either graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, it gains haste. Wow. So really cool. 7 loyalty. You can get there in a few turns. So it gives your opponent a considerable clock. Plus, if you're plussing each turn, they're losing cards out of their hand. And then let's take a look at this and just appreciate this basic land here. I approve. I really like it. I like the direction that they're going in their artwork. Well, at least the artwork of like the box and stuff like that. Like the Theros lands, I really liked a lot. This one, I'm not sure about the artwork itself. I mean, it looks good, but it's not like, wow, this is really amazing. I'm sure these will look amazing in foil. Now, of course, Spark Hunter Massacre, I've been seeing this get some traction. 3 mana, artifact creature. It's a 3/4. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you have to discard a card. Makes sense. Protection from Planeswalkers. I think I have been hearing so many people say, we would love to see a card that has protection from Planeswalkers. Well, here it is. And the fact that it's an artifact makes it even better because it can be a sideboard piece in almost any deck. It could even be in the main deck because it's not bad for a 3/4. So you can tap 1 and it deals 1 damage to target Planeswalker. You can deal 3 and Spark Hunter Massacre gains indestructible until end turns. This is a very good card. I really like it a lot. Now we get into some of the stuff that I kind of just shake my head at. So Teferi's Tutelage, 3 mana enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card, then discard a card, and then whenever you draw a card, target opponent mills 2. I love the fact that they actually say mill instead of put the top 2 cards. So it's a good card. They're trying to make mill. Like I said, in every deck, it seems like, every set, it just seems like they're trying to make mill more of a thing. So they're trying. This isn't bad though. Having because this paired with Drowned Secrets. Oh wait, no, don't listen to me. Oh wait, no, yeah, Drowned Secrets will still be standard for a little bit while this is out. So mill decks just get something even more annoying to have to deal with. So the fact that it's an enchantment, pair that with Drowned Secrets, that's really good. Then you get Teferi's Ageless Insight, 4 mana. If you would draw a card, except the first one you draw in each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. It's okay. It can pair pretty well with 3 mana Teferi, I guess. Now we get Teferi, Master of Memes. Time. 4 mana Planeswalker, so he's a solid blue Planeswalker this time. So this is where I kind of start to have an issue with this. So it just seems like Wizards they outdo themselves every single time they've made a Teferi Planeswalker. Hero of Dominaria was really good. At 5 mana, it was appropriate, and usually if you weren't able to get rid of it within the first turn or two it's on the battlefield, you're most likely going to lose. Then there was the 3 mana Teferi that everybody knows. That one has completely altered standard in some cases. Some will make the argument that it should be banned. I don't think it really needs to go that far, but I understand the argument. Now we have this one. So this has a static ability, which I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of Planeswalkers having static abilities that permanently affect the state of the game while that Planeswalker is on the battlefield. It's like basically a glorified enchantment on top of being a Planeswalker, and especially for 4 mana. Now, granted, this only affects this card, but it's just the extra flexibility this card has. You may activate loyalty abilities of Teferi, Master of Time on any player's turn, anytime you can cast an instant. This is what I was always afraid of. I never wanted to see this happen, but it's happened. So, granted, I've heard the argument that it's all like, well, it's -3, just kills it. I'm like, yeah, but, control players, they're not playing this on turns where they're going to use the -3 ability or the +1 ability. They're not going to be playing this card when they know they have a high risk of losing it. They're going to play this card in order to play it to win the game within the next turn or two. So its +1 is draw a card, then discard a card. -3, target creature you don't control phases out. So you basically, there's a parentheses for this. And so treat it and anything attached to it as though they don't exist until its controller's next turn. So basically, you can do this on their turn, and then your turn, and then it comes back to play on that next turn. So this can be incredibly annoying to deal with. And then, of course, the -10, take 2 extra turns after this one. That's pretty nuts. -10, it makes sense. They kind of had to make it absurd to get to that point. But really, I think the real power play is going to be like the plus and minus effects of the +1, -3 effects of this card. I don't really know exactly how powerful it's going to be. It's just the fact that they've made this basically an instant on top of being a Planeswalker. Now, I think this card, it's going to get paired obviously with 3 mana Teferi. People playing in those type of control decks, they're going to be playing Birth of Meletis. They're going to be having tons of board wipes, spot removal. They're going to be having counter spells. I mean, this is a card built for control. And as somebody who loves playing control, I absolutely hate control at the same time. And I think this card has the potential to cause some massive problems. It could be nothing. Now, I've been wrong many times, I'll admit it. But on the surface, this looks like a potential problem already, and we're not even at pre-release yet. But again, I'm willing to play with it, play against it, and see how it goes. Baneslayer Angel, 5 mana for a flying first strike lifelink, protection from demons and dragons, and it's a 5/5. Excellent card. I love the card. I mean, in my opinion, I think this could be one of the newer finishers for blue-white control. Or it could be, or not even really. It doesn't. I mean, flying first strike lifelink for 5. I mean, that's a solid finisher. But even then, it could also just be a sideboard card for control players. Containment Priest. This is one of my favorite cards. This is going to be a solid answer to a lot of decks with like Luca and Winota. So it's a 2-mana 2/2 flash creature. If a non-token creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exiled instead. I think that's fantastic. I love the card. I love the idea. Now we get to Rin and Ciri, Inseparable. We've come to the card that has completely taken the MTG community by storm. It is a legendary creature, dog, cat. So, Wizards, I just have to say, if you're going to go full meme, you have to call it cat dog. I mean, if you're just going full meme, you gotta just go all the way. So, apparently, and like I said, this is people have lost, like, not lost, but people have been, like, completely, going crazy on this card, saying, yeah, dogs, cats, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, yes, finally, Wizards, finally taking care of the things that matter most in a multiverse filled with wizards and demons and angels and dragons and nightmares and horrors and sea monsters and planeswalkers and vampires and all kinds of horrific abominations from the depths of your darkest dreams and nightmares. We have cats and dogs. So whenever you cast a dog spell, create a 1/1 green cat creature token. Whenever you cast a cat spell, create a 1/1 white dog creature token. Cool. For a red, green, and white, you tap it, Rin and Ciri, and several deals damage to any target equal to the number of dogs you control. You gain life equal to the number of cats you control. It is a mythic, and it is the new tribal. So, interesting. I honestly don't know how good this card is going to be. They're obviously trying to push this as like as a tribal deck idea for people to play with. So we will see how it does. Then there's this one, Peer into the Abyss for 7, a whopping 7 mana. Target player draws cards equal to half the number of cards in their library and loses half their life. Round up each time. This is pretty nuts. And to be honest, seeing cards like these are actually really neat. It really makes me appreciate black a lot more. I'm really interested to see how this card is going to be used. It's very interesting. So I'm going to speed up a little bit. I'm already at like almost 25 minutes in. So this is a foreign card, but this is Plunge. Basically, it's a 2-mana. Is it an instant? Yeah, let's take a look. Yes, it is an instant. Destroy target planeswalker or creature with converted mana cost less than or equal to 3. There you go, people. You have your answers to your 3-mana planeswalkers and stuff like that. You have your answer to Teferi. But still, you can only play it on your turn if Teferi's on the board. Anyway, a solid card. I think it's great. It's basically like a beefed up Fatal Push. You just pay an extra mana. So I like the card. I like it a lot. Indulging Patrician. It's a vampire, 1/4 for 3. Flying, lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, each opponent loses 3 life. Very solid, especially for an uncommon. Oh, excuse me. Especially for an uncommon. So then there's Chromatic Orrery. 7 mana. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color. You can tap it for 5 colorless. Pay 5, tap it, draw a card for each color among permanents you control. Interesting card. I don't know offhand. I don't know really what it would fit into, but it's a cool card. Then there's Gadrick, this Crown Scourge. So for 3 mana, you get a 5/4 flying, and it can't attack unless you control 4 or more artifacts. At the beginning of your end step, create a treasure token for each non-token creature that died this turn. So this could be pretty cool in like mono red or maybe even Rakdos if you're able to kill a lot of creatures, stuff like that. Artifacts maybe, I don't know. This is an interesting card though. At the very least, it's a decent blocker. This is again another foreign, but the translation is it's a 5 mana devil for 5/5, and basically whenever you sacrifice a permanent, it deals 1 damage to any target. So it's basically like Mayhem Devil, but it costs more and it's a 5/5, right? Yeah. So it's basically it's a more expensive Mayhem Devil, but it's also bigger. Then there's Pack Leader. Hooray, more dogs. Other dogs you control get +1/+1. Whenever Pack Leader attacks, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn to dogs you control. Interesting. So basically you can attack for free. Again, though, this looks like it's going to be one of those tribals where the creatures aren't really all that large and you're just trying to overwhelm them with numbers. There's Primal Might. Target creature you control gets +X/+X until on a turn. Then it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Like the card. I think the fight mechanic has been needing something like this for a little bit, and this is actually pretty solid. So, Llanowar Visionary, incredible. They brought this back. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. Taps for a mana. It's a 2/2 for 3. Solid card. Let's see. Jeskai Elder. This is another one I really like. Prowess. So they brought Prowess back. So people who are unfamiliar with Prowess, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until on a turn. So it's a 2 mana 1/2. If you cast a non-creature spell, it becomes a 2/3. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Solid. Bad Deal. This is an interesting card. For 6 mana, you draw 2 cards. Each opponent discards 2 cards. Each opponent loses 2 life. Not bad, but I mean, 6 mana. It's kind of expensive there. I'm not too concerned. This one I've been wanting to talk about. So let's take a look at this. Cryptic Masterpiece. So I'm telling you right now, this card has the potential. I'm just going to come right out and say it. This card is going to be, in Standard, better than Treasure Map. It's 2 mana, and you tap it. You don't have to pay any mana. You tap it to put a page counter on Cryptic Masterpiece, and you scry 1. So it is effective right when it hits the board for 2 mana. Then if you tap 2 and tap it, you put another page counter on Cryptic Masterpiece, and you draw a card. And then when it has 4 or more page counters on it, you exile it, and when you do, you gain 4 life. I'm telling you right now, this card is going to be better than Treasure Map in Standard. The only thing Treasure Map has over this card is the fact that when it hits 4 counters on it, it transforms into a land that you can tap for colorless mana, or you can tap and sack treasures to draw cards. You also get 3 treasure tokens. I don't care. I think this card is better because you don't have to pay 1 to scry. You can just tap it when it comes in. So as soon as you play it, at the end of your turn, you're just tapping it to scry 1. And you can even tap it to scry before your draw step if you want to. That was popular for a lot of people who were playing Treasure Map. So, and the fact you have the option to pay 2 to draw the card and still put a page counter on it and gaining 4 life, man. In this Standard, decks are so fast. If you're playing Control, that 4 life, man, is going to go a long way. So I'm telling you, this card is going to be so much better than Treasure Map. So going forward, we have Necromentia for 3 mana. This is basically one of those cards you choose a card, a card other than a basic land card name, and you search. And this means you can even say like a land card if you want to. That's non-basic. But anyway, search target opponent's graveyard, hand, library for any number of cards with that name, exile them. Now, they do create a 2/2 black zombie creature token for each card exiled from their hand this way. So it's from their hand. It's not from their library and graveyard. It's from their hand. So you could know that they're playing something, say like Teferi, and you could say Teferi, if they don't have one in their hand, they don't get any zombies and they lose all their Teferis, and it's only 3 mana, which I think is great. So mono black getting some more interruption here for certain players, like playing certain decks. Rewind, this has been circulating in and out of Standard for a while. I personally like Rewind, but for 4 mana, it's kind of hard to fit it in as a counterspell, even if you do get to untap up to 4 lands. Then you get Fungal Rebirth. This is return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. If a creature died this turn, you get 2 Saproling tokens. I think that's pretty cool, especially as an instant. This one, I didn't get a chance to actually read this one. It's an uncommon. It's a Consecrated Veteran, 1 white, 1 and a white for Human Warrior. Discard a card, tap Consecrated Veteran, gains indestructible until its turn. It's okay for a 3/1. I don't know about that. So those are the spoilers so far. As I said, some of these, really the biggest one, I was just like, Teferi, that card just has me scratching my head a little bit. Haven't seen too many other things that are like, oh, this is going to screw up the game. I mean, maybe like Visionary and Azusa, and then you have all the other ramp and mana generating cards. I mean, I think they're going to get a lot of help. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I will be keeping a close eye on spoilers as we continue on, and I'll be trying to get some more of those, some more of these reaction videos out as we progress through spoiler season. So, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you do, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already on your way out. And yes, I will see you all in the next one. Take care.